Tough luck, pilot, but don't worry about it, Duncan. You'll be back on the surface pronto, and that's where you'll get a welcome assist from a real pal. Your life vest. And a pretty dependable pal at that. Because here in the parachute equipment room, we sort of anticipate an emergency like yours. Yes, even though flyers make their own pre-flight checkups, it's our job to double-check with regular inspections of our own. How do we do it? Just relax and we'll show you. Every 6 months, that vest of yours gets a complete inspection, whether you've used it or not. To begin with, we open the mouth valve and blow up the 2 compartments as hard as we can. We never use an air hose, though. It might bust the seams. We could use the CO2 equipment on the vest itself, providing there are plenty of replacement cartridges. Don't forget that. We never use CO2 cartridges unless we've got plenty on hand. After both compartments are inflated, the vest is tested underwater like an ordinary tire tube. Any leaks? Uh-oh, there she blows. If there are replacements in stock, it's better to condemn any leaky vest and turn it in for salvage. But if not, and that's often the case, dry the vest and mark it for repair. We never vulcanize a patch on a life vest. Why? Well, that's easy to explain. It's made of a single shell of rubberized fabric. Oh, it's sturdy enough to take plenty of punishment in rough water, but the rubber's on the inside where the vulcanizing machine can't reach it. So we apply a cold patch. We remember, when cleaning and brushing, not to use any pressure on the damaged area. Another important warning at this stage is to avoid the use of any oily or aromatic cleaning solvents that might injure the fabric. After the damaged area is cleaned and brushed, we apply cement. 1 coat. Spread it around and give it a chance to dry. 2 coats. Spread that around and wait 10 minutes. 3 coats. Some more spreading, some more drying. And finally, the patch itself. And we make it stick. We know how tough it is for a flyer to be floating around in the ocean with nothing but a mile of more ocean between him and the bottom. So plenty of care goes into that patch, right up to the talcum powder that finishes the job. Still not satisfied, however, we inflate the newly repaired compartment once more. Then back it goes to the dunking department just to make sure. You can bet your buddy's last buck there are no bubbles now. Having made sure of that, we wipe off the vest again, open the valves, and deflate. When we're sure it's empty of all air, we close the mouth valves and give the vest another visual inspection. not only the fabric itself, but all of the gadgets as well. We've got to be sure the discharge mechanism works freely and easily. There are two CO2 cylinders that have to be checked with every test. So we unscrew a chamber and take out the CO2 cartridge. We make sure the cartridge is intact by examining the tip to see that it hasn't been punctured. Well, we know now that one CO2 cylinder is in perfect working condition, but we don't take anything for granted. So we turn the vest over and repeat the same inspection on the other cylinder. And that's that. Except for stenciling the date of inspection, the job on the life vest is complete. Now let's see about the one-man life raft. First, we open the pack and take out the raft and accessories. We handle this and all sea rescue equipment carefully. Banging it around now may cause it to fail when some flyer really needs it. We make sure the snap fasteners are in good working order and examine the pack covering carefully for traces of oil or acid. Now we remove the raft itself from the pack and unfold it. This is a good time to make a preliminary note of any chafed or worn places along the folds. It's all right to use an air hose or a pump to inflate this raft. We attach it to the mattress valve, open the valve, and let her go. The mattress valve is closed tightly before we detach the air hose. The pressure is now taken with a mercury manometer. By the way, if a mercury manometer isn't available, we could rig up a sensitive gauge out of a fuel pressure indicator, but we never use any hasty substitute like an ordinary tire gauge. It just wouldn't be accurate enough. The pressure must be 2 pounds per square inch. Now we note the time, and in an hour, check the pressure again. If it has varied at all, we bring it back to the 2 pounds per square inch pressure. This time, we leave the raft inflated for 24 hours. Then the pressure is measured again. If it has fallen to less than a pound, we disconnect the manometer and go hunting for leaks using the good old soapy water method. If any leaks are to be found, we find them. Sherlock Holmes is a piker at hunting clues compared to us. We cover every inch of the raft surface, ready to mark any and all telltale soap bubbles for later repair. See what I mean? If the damage is serious, the raft is condemned for salvage. If it's minor, however, we mark the spot and go back to patch it after finishing our inspection. Like the life vest, the one-man raft calls for a cold patch. We make sure the surface is clean before applying the 3 coats of cement. Having finished our patch, we turn to the CO2 unit. Leakage is checked here by removing the cylinder and weighing it on a sensitive scale. If it shows a loss of weight beyond the content specified in its marking, we condemn it and replace it with a fresh one. But this one's okay, so we check the lock pin to see that it slides easily and is well tied. After that, it's placed back in its container on the side of the raft. Here it will be securely laced after it is finally reconnected. Now for the accessories, and we don't have to talk about how important they are. In the accessories kit, we should find emergency drinking water, sea marker. Then there's also a repair outfit consisting of a pair of scissors, a roll of cold patch material, a scraper to clean the damaged area, and a bottle of cement. We make sure it hasn't dried out. After checking these pieces, back they go into the repair kit. But there are other accessories too. Bullet hole plugs, 2 of them like this. Paddles, and there'd better be 2 of those too. Sea anchor, bailing cup, each item present and accounted for, and each item in perfect condition. Now we unscrew the mouth valve and deflate the raft. All of the air must be removed, for on high altitudes, the increased pressure might cause any remaining air in the raft to expand. A flyer with a nip on his tail has enough to do without worrying about a raft blowing up under his pants. When we are positive the raft is as empty as a Hitler promise, the mouth valve is put back on and tightly closed. Powdering is the next step, and I mean powdering like a baby after a bath, covering all parts where chafing might rough up the skin. Now, back go the accessories into their proper places, and this is no time to leave any of them behind. Finally, we're ready to fold the raft, and here's an operation that has to be handled with a special care. We're particular to smooth out the fabric as we go, because unwelcome wrinkles might weaken the surface when the raft is packed. The complete pack mustn't have any lumps or bulges. It should fit as tightly as gearing into his ersatz girdle. The inspection record tag is initialed and dated, and after the raft strap is checked, the inspection job is finished. At least every 6 months, all types of multi-place rafts are given a complete checkup. This one is a 1,000-pound type. After the accessories bag is removed, the raft is inflated with compressed air. Again, we could use the CO2 system of the raft itself, but as we said before, why use up the supply of cylinders unless you have to? The pressure of the multi-place raft is also measured with the mercury manometer. We use the same pressure reading as in the one-man life raft, 2 pounds per square inch. The raft is then left inflated for 6 hours. Perhaps a slow leak may show itself. If there should be a drop of more than 10% in the pressure, we would again hunt for the leak with soapy water. On these big babies, a hot patch is better, providing equipment is available. If not, however, a cold patch is adequate. But according to the manometer, this one didn't need any patch. So our next move is to deflate the raft. The manifold valve is now disconnected and inspected. We examine every part of it minutely for dirt, grease, corrosion, or mechanical defects. If up to par, it's reset. We can't be too careful with these gadgets. There's no guessing in this kind of work. So much for the mattress valves. Now for the accessories, which are just as important as the raft itself. Any one of these items may mean saving a flyer's life. There's the fishing kit with a knife and different kinds of tackle and bait. Everything a guy needs for a shore dinner. Now we check the cans of sea marker, which are used to color the water so the raft can be spotted easily from the sky. Then there's your emergency drinking water and a reversible orange and blue waterproof cloth that can be used for a sail, for camouflage, a recognition flag, a rain catcher, or to prevent sunburn. Having seen that everything the TO calls for is there, we now turn to the CO2 cylinder itself. We examine every part of it carefully, again watching out particularly for dirt, oil, corrosion, or defective parts, and turning in the cylinder for replacement if it's faulty. If everything checks, however, the cylinder is reinstalled and reconnected to the manifold. After the wing nut is tightened, both manifold and cylinder are tested for security. Now we hook up the deflation pump and remove all the remaining air from the raft. After the raft has been well powdered, the accessories are repacked. That completes the 6 months inspection, except for folding the raft and stowing it in its case. The raft is now ready to be stored, far away from lights, stoves, radiators, damp cellars, or leaky sheds, only where it is cool and dry. The 100-hour inspection is the same for all sizes of multi-place rafts. Let's take a 1,000-pounder from a B-17 and see what happens. First, the cover of the small compartment is unfastened. Then the release cable is disconnected, and the cover of the raft compartment is unlocked. We are careful not to accidentally discharge the CO2 cylinder in the raft compartment while doing this. The raft is then taken out and spread on the wing, which makes it easy to unscrew the release cable from the CO2 cylinder. Now the release cable is disconnected from the release lever of the cylinder. The cable housing and cable are then replaced and temporarily attached in the compartment where they won't get lost, damaged, or needlessly exposed to any dust or dirt. Now the raft is brought to a repair shop or any sheltered spot. One man begins to remove the CO2 cylinder, while another verifies the inspection record tag. Yep, this baby's 100 hours are up. So he sees to it that all ties holding accessory kits are made secure, while his buddy carries the CO2 cylinder to the scale to be weighed. If it registers a loss of more than 3/100ths of a pound, it is replaced with a fresh cylinder. The cylinder will also be replaced if it has been exposed to seawater. However, this cylinder is okay, so back to the raft it goes. Meanwhile, the other man examines all tags, corners, edges, and seams. Perhaps there may have been chafing. Next, he sees to it that each of the mattress valves is tightly closed, every one of them. The CO2 cylinder is returned and reconnected to the manifold. Meanwhile, the raft is getting a good powdering. The wing nut is screwed to the manifold and the coupling made secure. It takes a lot of powder to cover this rubber hippopotamus, especially when you have to spread it around so. But that's about all there is to the 100-hour inspection of the multi-place raft. The only remaining touch now is to replace the raft in its compartment on the plane. Once more, the raft is spread out on the wing. Careful not to lose any powder. The release cable is taken from the compartment to be reconnected to the CO2 cylinder. First, the coupling is put on. Then the release cable is joined to the release lever of the cylinder. The little gadget is tricky, so we make sure it's hooked and locked. Next, the housing is connected and made fast with a wrench. After that, we're ready to put the raft back into the airplane. To do that little job, we lift the cylinder end of the raft into the raft compartment. Then move over to the small compartment to reset the lock and connect the free end of the release cable to the pull cable. Now we lay the remainder of the raft into the raft compartment, fold by fold. And then fasten the cover tightly. Finally, the inspection record tag is initialed and the cover of the small compartment is secured. Well, that gives you an idea of how we do our job. But there's one thing more. We know how you flyers depend on us to keep your sea rescue equipment in good shape. We want you to know that we're always in there punching. We just won't gamble on your lives.